TSC manager with the Michigan Department of Transportation, Kelby Wallace. Hi, Kelby.
How you doing today, Bart?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Enjoying this rainy weather like everyone else.
Yeah, so you can't do much in this weather, can you?
No, we're out there kind of making sure things are draining properly, taking care of our soil erosion materials to try to keep stuff from polluting waterways, and trying to fill potholes that are caused by weather like this in the projects. But yeah, not much production on a day like today.
It's probably a good test for a lot of the new drainage created with this project. You've created some drainage ponds and new culverts and all kinds of things like that.
Correct, especially near the 94 West Avenue interchange, just north of 94. We put some new box culverts to carry that Herd Marvin drain, which carries a lot of water through that area. So those culverts are functioning, but we definitely get a test on a day like today. And the month of April has been much rainier than normal, so it's been like this on our job site, where we get 2 days of work and then we got to take a day off to clean stuff up when it rains and let the mud dry out.
Are you behind on any of the projects?
I'd say starting this year, this is putting us behind what we normally would like to see. Now how the weather goes the rest of the season, we'll tell whether or not we can make up time. If we get dry stretches, then a lot of times we can catch up. Just last weekend we were paving on Saturday, to try to take advantage of a good day on Saturday. So the contractors are usually pretty good. Most of their schedules do include typically losing a day a week to bad weather, typically rain. So a lot of our schedules incorporate that, but then if it gets more than 1 day a week, then that starts to put us behind.
Well, that proves it. If it's impacting that, we are experiencing a wet, cold, late spring. But we've got some projects, several actually you guys are working on, so we're going to take a look at some updates on various things like the Seymour Road Bridge.
Yeah, so this is our Elm Road interchange area, and in the forefront there is our Elm Road Bridge. You can see we've got that bridge deck poured, and we've started pouring the bridge railings, the outside of the bridge that keep people from falling off that bridge. This picture is about a couple weeks old, so we've made more progress and poured both railings there. But you can see again where that bridge is able to handle construction traffic right now, and we're working towards later this summer for that to be open to traffic. Here's a view of that same area, kind of looking north. You can start to see down there in the bottom right picture, that's our circle for our roundabout. I thought this was a good one. You can actually see how the contractor's tracks are kind of circling around it, but the bridge forms are all set up in there. And this is a little more detailed view of the footing, the foundation of that inner circle. This is going to have this decorative wall that also exists at the Cooper roundabouts that has decorative stone on it, and we'll have the Jackson logo on it. Look real nice and kind of another gateway entrance to the community. But these are very detailed forms. Take a lot of time to put up to pour that circular wall on the interior of that roundabout.
It's interesting. That's the first thing you do before the road's even there.
Yeah, this one made sense. We'll connect right to it. This jumps over now. We're jumping over to West Avenue, and this is on the left with the green and yellow is the eastbound bridge. We had to pour that in 2 separate pours because of just how big it was. We have to be very precise of how we pour that to make sure the beams are loaded evenly, and we don't just kind of dump concrete on it randomly. There's actual design and a sequence that's in there. So we pour this first slab in there first, and then we'll go back and pour the green and on the bottom of the screen and the yellow next. That's all poured out now, but this was kind of in the midst of that. And just a little bit closer look at that.
Is that just rebar? The yellow?
So up iron to green, there's so much rebar, it's hard to see through that.
Yeah.
We have either 4 to 6 layers of rebar that go in both directions.
Wow.
To help provide that bridge deck the strength that you need on a bridge deck to span across there. And of course, those are sitting on top of bridge beams, but in between the beams, there is no beam. And so the bridge deck itself, which is typically 10 inches thick with that 4 to 6 layers of steel rebar. It's green because it's coated with an epoxy which is much more resistant to any type of corrosion.
Yeah, when you see, you dig up concrete, you see rusted rebar all
Right.
twisted up and all rusted. This will
Yes.
prevent that.
That delays that, yeah.
Delays that.
So that, we estimate we get like a 75-year life out of a bridge nowadays. We're starting to do some kind of new experiments on bridges where we use carbon fiber in place of the steel rebar.
Carpet fiber.
Carbon.
Oh, carbon.
Carbon fiber, yeah.
Carpet fiber. Well, it's a nice cushy ride across the bridge, but no, carbon. Carbon's stronger.
Carbon can be very, very strong and will not corrode at all. But obviously the cost is quite extreme compared to typical steel and epoxy, but it's something where if we can also have the rest of the components of the bridge last as long as the carbon, that perhaps we could get 100, 150 years out of a bridge instead of 75. So maybe it would be worth investing that in there. But right now, our typical concrete isn't going to last that long. So we kind of have to have all the components last. Otherwise, it's not worth the investment in the carbon fiber.
Well, your great-great-grandkids will thank you. Let's switch to the downtown projects. We've got train bridges, and it's amazing how much work, and this is something, I hear that pounding. I live down here, and it's incessant and around the clock. But you guys are working fast.
So that should be, not lasting the entire summer. So there'll be some relief. But right now, is the major phase is installing our steel sheet pile retaining walls, which you see that crane there in that picture is the hammering. So there's a pneumatic hammer that drives those steel sheeting down into the earth till it reaches a certain elevation below ground that is stable enough to retain back, because we're retaining back the tracks with these steel retaining walls so that they stay in service.
And you got the river right there too, isn't that?
Water table,
Yeah.
that definitely is accounted for. I think these will go right into that water table if needed.
Yeah.
And you can see right here on the right there is that existing building, and this is at Jackson Street. There's a building very, very close there, and so that's why the retaining wall was necessary, so that we could support the tracks and do our work and not impact that building right there.
Oh wow, that is close.
And so this is actually a footing. This will be the foundation of what supports the bridge itself. So we're working underneath that existing bridge so that that thing can remain in service and the tracks can still handle a train. And so they excavate down and place in aggregate and sand. And actually, if you can see, there's little pink dots. Those little pink dots are what we're going to call, we put these things, they're called micro piles. And they are circular concrete that we drill a hole into the ground till we reach firm material, and then we pour concrete down in there in a steel tube, and then that concrete ends up transferring the load down to the sound earth. And you can see them sticking up out of the ground there under the structure. Those are concrete micro piles, and those transfer the weight from the bridge down to solid earth, down into the ground. And that machine there on the left is what helps do that. In addition, you see some steel sheet piling there that's, again, holding back the existing bridge. So this is what's taking this, going to take such a long time, is we're building a bridge, not like Elm Road that we saw where there's a brand new bridge that nothing's around. This one has to maintain the existing bridge. And so this is another shot of another steel sheet piling wall that'll be on the north side of the tracks. And then you can see sticking out of that wall are what we call tiebacks, and those are kind of horizontal pieces of steel that go into the earth to give that wall strength so it doesn't tilt, in the future. Just a lot of things going on. This is a picture of kind of a temporary wall that is needed just until the new bridge is in place. But again, this is kind of the pounding that you hear, that we're putting in all of this steel sheet piling to either temporarily support the tracks or permanently kind of hold those slopes up that are out there.
I saw up on Blackstone, it looked like you had railroad tracks all put together, just waiting to be put into place. Is that what I saw?
That definitely is going to have to happen. I didn't realize maybe that those were out there already, but that'll be part of the process. Eventually, once we remove the tracks, we'll be putting those back in place, welding them and bolting them in place.
I take it you're not going to preserve the graffiti.
That will be gone, yes, yeah. And a lot of that's going to be some of that decorative stone
Yeah.
that we have on the bridges up by Cooper and Elm and Lansing and West Ave, you know, kind of carrying that theme all
That's
through
great.
town.
They're going to look nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully trucks will read the signs when they say how high the clearance is.
Right.
All right, another project down by Clavon's. It's another railroad bridge too.
There's another railroad, that's a bridge over, carries US 127, it's still a freeway there, carries it over M50 that goes into downtown, and it also carries it over the railroad there. So that makes that a little tricky when you're working around a railroad.
Yeah.
That project, we've got all the traffic shifted onto the southbound bridge, and we're rebuilding the northbound bridge right now. I think maybe last time I told you, we uncovered the bridge with the concrete, took all the deck off it, and we had the beams exposed, and we found a little more deterioration than expected.
Oh, wow.
So we moved the beams just south of the existing bridge, and contractors actually doing steel repairs, scraping off, grinding off some rust spots, repainting, and then we'll put the beams back in place. So we had a little extra steel repairs down there that we're doing that we'll have to complete before we go ahead and put the beams back up, and then we pour a new bridge deck, open it back up, put traffic on that side, and then go ahead and start on the other one.
Does the configuration of the traffic change at all? Because I know people are, if they're not familiar with that, they might not get off, or they might get off, you know, M50, 127, which way do I go? Is that going to stay the same?
For the most part, that the M50 under the bridges is going to kind of open on and off when we can, because we know that's a nice artery to downtown from people south. Our northbound ramp to 127 is going to stay closed most of the time, because when we have traffic shifted and down to one lane, causes a lot of concern and safety issues if you have a ramp that merges into that narrow traffic area in a short distance. And so in the name of safety, we're probably going to keep that ramp closed most of the year. But the actual M50 underneath the bridge is going to be open on and off when the contractor really doesn't need it.
And when it's all done, it's just going to be returned to normal.
Return to normal. This one was a basically condition only, project, because the bridge was on its way to being very poor, and the 94 project, we're kind of redoing the interchanges. We're widening them, we're raising them for underclearance, but that structure down there is kind of going back in kind, we like to say.
Now, circle back to 94 West, Parma to, I don't know, Marshall.
Correct.
You're doing something. Is this a separate?
Yeah, so our office, it's turned into, okay, we call it the current 94 job, and then that one is the I94 West job. That's how everybody knows what we're talking about. So that was let separately, bid out to contractor separately. That's a whole different contractor than the one at West Ave and Elm Road. That one is from M60 over to the Calhoun County line. This year we're focusing on the area from Michigan Avenue over to the Calhoun County line to try to keep the stuff separated from the work zone near West Avenue. That one right now we're kind of working on doing the shoulders, to rebuild the shoulders so that we can shift traffic onto it for the major construction, and we're also building some crossovers so that we can shift traffic over to the opposite side out there. So that one again is kind of starting off a little slow due to the weather. They were going to do some paving this week, but had to bump that to next week with today's rain. But that one is going and will be going all summer.
I want to go back to Elm Road. I think maybe the first or second photo we looked at. Can we bring that back up again with the roundabout that's in the lower corner of the photo? You can see where the new road, where the new Elm Road is going to go, and it's a dramatic shift, quite a distance from the existing. So what happens? Like, there's some new real estate maybe that opens up. Or does it all stay just natural highway area land, or is there development potential?
So some of it, we're going to have to relocate. Our carpool lot is going to fill in some of that area that was going to be abandoned by the existing Elm Road. Some of it we're using for our drainage and our detention ponds. And some of it, I don't think we've kind of got that far on it.
Okay.
We usually, because when we started this project, the design wasn't complete yet. The contractor team that came aboard designed the actual layout. And so that's something definitely that'll be able to be looked at when we're done.
And that where the new bridge is, if you just draw a line straight up north, is that how it's going
to that, you can kind of see the equipment there up at the top of the screen there to the north. That's where it's going to kind of curve back into the existing Elm Road right there. And on the south side, we're down by where Carmen ties into Elm Road, and that's kind of where that one curves back down into Carmen and Blake is where that Elm Road will curve back down to the existing roadway.
Nice. All right, well, we appreciate all the updates.
Yeah. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you. Hopefully you'll get some nice construction weather, and that's good for all of us.
Absolutely. Everybody like to see good weather this time of year.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelby.
Thanks.
Kelby Wallace, Jackson TSC Manager with Michigan Department of Transportation. Stay with us. Up next, we're going to check in on the potential for getting college credits while in high school. We've got Gene Logan and Jill Raymond. They're just ahead. Stay tuned.